Over to the Vasa Museum, ladies and gentlemen. Is the information okay, Mr. Desmond? Nice and clear? Thank you, sir. So now we're going to head over to the Vasa Museum. Photography is permitted in the Vasa Museum. You can use your flash, but however, please mind your steps as you're walking at all times, because certain areas are not level. So you'll have to walk carefully. There's a lot of dim lighting, controlled lighting that is, due to the preservation of the wood of the Vasa warship. So please ensure that you mind your steps as you move around. I will provide you with a guided tour, and from there I'll leave you with your own free time. And from there we can meet up after that.
ചാർജ് ഉണ്ടല്ലേ? ഒരു മ്യൂസിയം കാണാൻ കയറുമ്പോഴാണ്.
It's not summer yet, so I'm flexible. So let's just ensure that everyone is here. Over the voucher for everybody, and from there we enter the entrance to the main exhibition hall where the ship is on display. It is very important that we stick together at all times within the group. Once again, pickpocketing is extremely high in Stockholm, Sweden, for ladies with your handbags and you're from Louis Vuitton or Prada or Chanel. Please ensure that they're in front of you all the times. Gentlemen, with your wallets, don't keep them in the back pocket. I usually keep mine in front here. I have no money in my wallet.
Cards only.
I have no pesos inside my wallet. Please don't leave your handbags slung on a chair if you're tired and you put your handbag down. It will disappear. These people are professionals. They're very fast. They dress up just as good as us, if not even better than me. And they act as a tourist. They actually pay admission fees here as an investment to walk off with your bag, which has 500 euro inside. And we know this. So stick together and watch your step. Follow me this way, please. Beautiful guests from around the world.
170 Swedish crown.
You like any signs? Sure.
I know it's this one here. You don't have to.
Do you want me to wait here and help you to the car? Sure, no problem. So my friend. So let's just wait over on this side here on our right hand side. We just need to verify that everyone within our group is here.
Yeah.
Okay. So
to the museum.
Available to you are in this direction. Can you see where my red light is pointing at? Just follow the arrow and it will lead you to the only exits applicable to you. If you use any other exit in the building, it will trigger off the alarm. It's a very loud alarm and it can be a little bit embarrassing. It has happened to me once. With regards to the restroom,
ലയൺ കണ്ടോ എൻഡിൽ ചേച്ചി
other 俩城。
ലാൻഡ് ഫേസ് ആണ്. ആ അപ്പോൾ അത് പോയതായിരിക്കും.
കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ടോ ശരിക്കില്ല.
ആ ഭയങ്കര റോയലായിട്ട് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിരിക്കുന്നത് പോയി.
So then I'll just wait for everyone to come through. I hope everyone is still within the group. I'm totally outnumbered 30 to 1. So I think everyone is here. So our tour leader here. Thank you, sir. So then, ladies and gentlemen, quite impressive, isn't she?
Yes.
A ship from 1628, the Titanic for its time, raised until today, now, in today's world, where we can view it like this. Maybe you've seen the movie Pirates of the Caribbean,
Yeah.
yes, starring Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
They had a few sequels as well. It is also rumored that the film producers and directors came to but what in theory made her the most feared ship will be what you see in front of you. Double gun ports.
Yeah.
64
ഇത് രണ്ട്
cannons in
ഡബിൾ
total.
ആണല്ലോ, മേളിലും താഴെ.
One combined
And then
shot
we
from
gun-
one
gun
side
ports
only,
only. Gun
300
വെച്ചിട്ട് shoot
kilograms
ചെയ്യാം.
of gunpowder.
എനിമീസ്.
Definitely a very powerful fighting machine. What also psychologically gave her the advantage in warfare would be what you can see that is carved on the gun port flaps. Can you see a lion's face? It would have been painted with red and gilded with gold. Definitely meant to be staring out and gleaming and glaring at the enemy to actually impose fear. The quarters gallery, whereby they could place men with muskets and guns to act as snipers to take out key personnel from the opposition ship, the enemy ship itself. And the main goal you see that everyone is here in my group?
Yes, yes.
So then, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the after stern castle of the ship. Every time I stand here, I feel like a very small band. If you look behind me, you'll be able to notice the extended size of the ship itself. 19.3 meters, ladies and gentlemen. And let us give it the fact as well. This wooden floor that we're standing on would show where the water level line was up to the ship when she was docked at harbor. So you might have some suspicions as to what really took place on the fateful day of the 10th of August, 1628. Here we have the most beautifully crafted part on the ship. We have more than 1,000 carved ornaments and sculptures, ladies and gentlemen. Vessels of the 1600s and 1700s were floating pieces of art exhibition. Now this is quite funny. They took so much time,
വേറെ കളർ പോലെ.
blood,
ആ
tears to produce this. But it's a warship.
അങ്ങനെ വിളിച്ചോ. ഇതാണ് അതിൻ്റെ
You'll be
ടെക്നിക്ക്.
destroyed in battle, you will sink, or either that you'll be marooned due to bad weather. And they took so much pain into this. But this was psychological warfare at its best.
അതെനിക്ക് എന്തോ ഐഡന്റിഫിക്കേഷൻ
Here it is.
അതിനോട് താഴെ എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട് കേട്ടോ. ഇവിടെ ഇവിടെ ക്യാമറ ഉണ്ട്. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് apparent that the ship was more richly colored. Okay.
For splendor and glory. Back then, if you had more paint, it meant you were more wealthy. But actually,
ഈ ഷിപ്പ് ഇതുപോലെ കളർ ചെയ്തിരുന്ന ഇപ്പൊ ഇങ്ങനെ ആയതാ. ഇതുപോലെ കളർഫുൾ ആയിരുന്നു. ഉണ്ടോ? ഇതുപോലെ കളർഫുൾ ആയിരുന്നു.
focus your attention towards here. This is what she would have looked like. With tints of turquoise and marine steel blue, flames of yellow, poisonous green, sanguine red. This is what she would have looked like, ladies and gentlemen. And here you'll be able to notice, can you see a small boy here at the top? Receiving the crown from the two griffins. This will symbolize King Gustav II Adolf of Sweden receiving the crown. And here we have the national coat of arms of Sweden flanked by the two lions. And here, even more importantly, the insignia of the Vasa dynasty, a wheat sheaf, a sheaf of wheat, surrounded by the two cherubs and angels itself. So basically, King Gustav Vasa II of Sweden was trying to tell his cousin in Poland that he was the rightful ruler of Sweden and it belonged to his family's lineage only. Their rightful claim to the Swedish throne, the legitimate claim to the Swedish throne.
ഈ ഷിപ്പിൻ്റെ മോഡലാണ്. ഇത്രയും കളർഫുള്ളായിരുന്നു.
Het is best wel vet hoe het eruit te zien. Dat is echt iemand met de hand zo gemaakt. Nee. Het is wel vet opgesteld, man.
But it doesn't mean they could swim like Michael Phelps. Every man for himself. You would have climbed onto anything. For me, I would have clung on to the barrels of beer on board, because if I'm going to drown, I'm going to drown very happy, I'm going to show you. But for those on board, it must have been complete torture. Of the 150 people estimated on board, somewhere between 30 to 50 people died in this extraordinary event. Some of them were actually women and children. Now this is quite unique because women and children were never on board ships at the time. It was considered taboo.
diving boat.
And in the distance, the embassies of China, Germany, Japan, and other personal residences of certain ambassadors. On our left, we have the former English churches, St. Peter and Seaford, on our left-hand side. This is one of the very few Anglican churches within the city. Most of the churches that you notice in Sweden, most of them are no longer Catholic, unfortunately. Most of them are Protestant. This is due to the Protestant Reformation of the year 1527, which meant the breakaway from the Catholic Church from Rome. And Embassy of Israel, ladies and gentlemen. Also very high security in this vicinity of this building, and we can truly understand why. I will not go into detail. With regards to the national language of Sweden, that is definitely Swedish. And the Swedish language is utilized in all forms of educational institutions, from elementary to high school and university levels, and all tertiary levels of education. And it is also utilized in the parliament itself, the national parliament, all forms of media. Bless you. Bless you. Swedish weather, yeah? It causes this. They won't know this. It's Saturday. Yours is 3 and 9? Yes. but it's actually a museum from the late 1800s. And it was actually made to be for the purpose of a museum. So it showcases Swedish, Nordic and cultural history from the time of the Protestant Reformation of 1527 all the way down through till industrialization. On the right hand side we have the Viking Life Museum and the Museum of Shipwrecks as well. One will also be able to notice the Liljevalchs Contemporary Art Museum, and that will be the museum here on our top right with the pinkish rosé-colored exterior. Is everyone familiar with the Swedish pop group called ABBA? Yes? So you'll be able to notice the ABBA Museum, ladies and gentlemen, the world's one and only first ABBA Museum on our right hand side, which opened up on the 7th of May 2000 and looks after certain children with disadvantaged physical and mental issues. And likewise their daughter, Crown Princess Victoria, who will become Queen of Sweden one day. She's involved with international peace work. Their youngest daughter, Princess Magdalene, my personal favorite, don't tell my wife I said that. She is involved with equestrian ornaments, and she is an equestrian enthusiast. He is also a sporting enthusiast, but he is also the chairman of the World Scout Foundation and often participates in scouting activities in Sweden and abroad. And he is also a motorsport enthusiast. He even has quite a number of Ferraris, several different types of Porsches. Some years back when he was driving in his Ferrari in a small remote part of Sweden, followed by his security convoy of course, his Ferrari engine gave some trouble, so he had to seek some refuge at a small little village to pay a visit to the local mechanic to see if he could actually repair the Ferrari's engine system. The local mechanic was surprised to be visited unexpectedly by the Swedish king in person, surrounded by his security staff, took a good look at the Ferrari's advanced engine system, looked at the king and told him, "Your Majesty, I will advise you to buy a Toyota Corolla in future instead." So that's a good point about Swedish diplomacy. If it's told tactfully, respectfully and politely, even the Swedish king will have to accept it. So we're now going to head over to the Vasa Museum, ladies and gentlemen. So now we're going to head over to the Vasa Museum. Photography is permitted in the Vasa Museum. You can use your flash, but however, please mind your steps as you're walking at all times, because certain areas are not level. So you'll have to walk carefully. There's a lot of dim lighting, controlled lighting that is, due to the preservation of the wood of the Vasa warship. So please ensure that you mind your steps as you move around. I will provide you with a guided tour, and from there I'll leave you with your own free time, and from there we can meet up after that for us to continue with our guided tour of the panoramic parts of the city in the coach itself. For his Russian bride named Maria Pavlovna. He was so in love with her, he had this enormous mansion built for her. But their marriage did not last very long, which proves you cannot buy love with money. So it is now owned by the Italian embassy since 1926. That explains why the Italian flag is hoisted on the flagpole. Now this is the beauty of Stockholm in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. Like all cities around the world, we have our fair share of problems with traffic conditions, weather conditions, jobs. here you'll be able to notice, you see a small boy here in the top, receiving the crown from the two griffins. This will symbolize King Gustav II Adolf of Sweden receiving the crown.
സ്കെൽറ്റൻസ് ഒക്കെ വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. സ്കെൽറ്റനാണ് അതൊക്കെയാണ്. കാലിൻ്റെ ഫിംഗേഴ്സൊക്കെ ഇല്ല.
Uncooperative bosses or colleagues and unique characters like my mother-in-law, for example. I said that. But for a brief moment, we can just walk around here and take a drive. We're surrounded by so much nature and water, ladies and gentlemen. For a brief moment, we do forget that we are living in a cosmopolitan city, honestly. Until I get home and I have to see my neighbors. Swedish neighbors are the best in the world. The reason being is because they mind their own business. They only say hello and goodbye to you.